A long time ago, in a village by a lake, there lived a great hunter. He was invisible, and he was called the Hidden One. It was known throughout the village that any young woman who saw him would become his bride. Many were the young women that came to the wigwam at the end of the village. And they were all tested by the great hunter's sister, the Patient One. But years passed and none succeeded. In that same village, there were two sisters who had lost their mother. The younger one was kind and gentle. The older one was jealous and cruel. Now, every day when the father would go hunting, the older sister would torment the younger one by burning her arms and her face with sticks from the fire. She would not let her have any new skins to make moccasins or new clothes, so she went barefoot and wore rags. One day, the older sister dressed in her finest clothes and put on many shining strings of beads and told the younger one, "Do you know what I'm doing today? I am going to go marry the Hidden One, which is something you could never dream of." So she left and she went to the wigwam at the end of the village. Well, the Patient One greeted her, "You are welcome," and took her to the shore of the lake. "My brother comes. Do you see him?" Well, the young woman obviously did not see him, but she had decided that she was going to pretend. "Yes, of course, he's right there. I can see him." And the Patient One looked at her skeptically. "And what is his shoulder strap?" she asked. "His shoulder strap is, it's made of rawhide." The young woman thought that was a very safe guess. The Patient One just shook her head and frowned. Well, the young woman turned to the Patient One and said, "So, when is our wedding to be? When will it take place?" The Patient One turned on her angrily and said, "What wedding? Do you think my brother would marry a liar and a fool like you?" Well, the young woman was so embarrassed, she ran away crying. And all the next day, she stayed in bed. She was sobbing. She was weeping. She was thoroughly embarrassed. And little Scarface sat in the corner listening to her sister wailing and sobbing. And finally she stood up and said, "It's my turn to go visit the Hidden One." So she went to her father's chest and took out a pair of old moccasins, put them on her own tiny feet. She went into the forest and found a nice birch tree and carefully removed a large piece of bark. And from this she made a suit of clothes to replace her own rags. And she walked through the village with her head held high, ignoring the taunts and laughter of the villagers. "Little Scarface, did you cut that tree just for today?" "Little Scarface, those moccasins are a little too big for you, don't you think?" Well, when she got to the wigwam of the Patient One, she looked at her surprised, but regarded her the same way. "You are welcome." And she took her to the shores of the lake. When they got there, the Patient One said, "My brother approaches. Do you see him?" Well, little Scarface was unsure. She searched the shore, and then her eyes lit with wonder. "Yes, I see him." Well, the Patient One looked at her questioningly. "What is his shoulder strap?" Well, little Scarface, her eyes still bright, said, It is the rainbow." The Patient One was taken aback. She smiled and said, "Let's return to the wigwam." When they did, she used water from a special jar to wash little Scarface's face and body. and it removed all of the damage, all of the scars, leaving her skin shining and smooth. She opened a trunk and took out a beautiful wedding outfit, and little Scarface had just finished changing into it when the door opened and a loud voice said, "Greetings, my sister." Little Scarface, hearing the voice, turned to the door and locked eyes with the great hunter. She could see the surprise that he had been recognized. And the patient one said, "Greetings, my brother, you have been discovered." Well, the hidden one walked over to little Scarface and took her hands in his. "I have been waiting so long for one true of heart and brave of spirit, for only such a one could see me. Now you shall be my bride." And so they were married. And little Scarface was little Scarface no more. She had a new name, the Lovely One, for she too had been hidden, and now was hidden no more.